Championship picture is getting clearer after week 6, and the Miami Hurricanes headline a list of big-time winners over the weekend. Let's bring in the squad.
You're talking ball with the ACC squad. From Florida State to North Carolina, from Syracuse to Miami, and from NC State to California, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming ACC weekend. Hang on, it could get loud, it could get heated, and it will definitely be fun. Squad up, you're part of the ACC squad.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making the ACC squad your first listen. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download FanDuel today. On this loaded episode, we'll take a look at Week 7 of the ACC football slate. We'll talk about all the problems in Chapel Hill. I think some of us in this room figured Bill Belichick era would not go so well. It's gotten off to a worse start than I could even imagine. We'll talk about Week 6 with, gentlemen, the Miami Hurricanes headlined the weekend with a road rivalry win at Florida State. 28-22, the final score. Miami played with their food a little bit. They were up 28-20. They're up 28-3 in the game, I should say. And I'll let Jackson Holzer buy the first round on this one. Is Miami now clearly the top team in the ACC, or do you think they could falter down the stretch?
I mean, who else if it's not Miami? So, like honestly, if you are sitting here saying who should be the favorite in the ACC, and your answer is not Miami, then I would love to hear what you would have to say. Honestly, this is a team that I think top to bottom across the board is just strong everywhere, and they're elite in particular areas. But the reason why I say they're strong in every area is because you also have to look at it this way. They're not bad at anything. Like, every team seems to have some sort of weakness, right? What's the weakness of Miami? Well, they run the football well. They got a good quarterback. They got good outside weapons. Their offensive line's really good. Is there anything wrong with the defense? I don't really think so. I think their defense is just fine. They got Ruben Bain, who might be the best individual player in the entire nation. And so, yeah, they just walked into Tallahassee and they just beat the brinks off them. It was not a close game. If you look at the final score and you don't look at the box score per quarter, you would think it's close. But it was not close. I wasn't necessarily expecting it because I thought that Florida State was going to rebound. They were going to play better than they did the previous week. But, Miami's just a really good team. And I just have to give them credit for it. They are clearly, right now, the class of the ACC.
By the way, before we go any further, because I know everyone wants to weigh in on this, let me introduce everybody. I am Alex Dono from Locked On Canes. You just heard Jackson Holzer from Locked On Syracuse. We got Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone from Locked On Wolfpack. And we got Morgan Thomas from Locked On Clemson. Clemson got a bounce-back win, and they helped send the Tar Heels into even more of a tailspin than they were already in. And Kenton, I think something that stood out from a Florida State and a Miami point of view, I thought Florida State's defense was very deliberate and somewhat successful in what they were trying to take away from Miami. Like Jackson mentioned, Miami having a number of different ways to beat you, and it was obvious FSU wanted to take away Miami's running game, and they did a pretty good job. They held Miami to under 100 rushing yards, and then it became the Carson Beck and Malachi Toney and C.J. Daniels show because Miami was able to find success and hit big plays through the air. So Florida State took away what they wanted to. Unfortunately, they couldn't take away everything.
Jackson was also wrong, as he often is, in saying this team doesn't have a weakness. They have a very glaring weakness. You know what Miami's weakness is? Playing with a lead. Anytime Miami gets a lead, all of a sudden their coaches forget how to coach. They're just like, what are we supposed to do with our hands? Like we're up. Do we just yell stop the count at the referees until the clock runs out? Because once again, we see Miami in a game that they should have. They did dominate on the field. They did dominate on the scoreboard for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, this fun thing called the fourth quarter happens, and they're just like, "Oh, we're done. The hay's in the barn. We don't need to do much." And ultimately, it almost ended up costing you late. because you played around like that. This is a consistent theme with Miami that they need to get fixed. But with that being said, you all are absolutely right in terms of they're the class of the conference right now, because who else is in the conversation in a meaningful way? You could maybe possibly say, hey, Virginia's in that conversation in a meaningful way. Sure. But Virginia has some glaring weaknesses even in their wins that have appeared. Even in their wins, you could say defensively, what are they? What do they do well defensively that you say, that's where they hang their hat at? You could say that about them. That Duke team, they're figuring it out. You could throw them in that picture because while they do have 2 losses, they're undefeated in conference. And that offense, although they could not keep the ball to themselves against Elon, for crying out loud, these last 3 games in the ACC, 0 turnovers. They got as many turnovers as I have strands of hair on my head. So it's been a situation where teams that we could not have imagined coming in were going to be contenders are contenders. And it's, sorry, Morgan, but the team that we thought was going to run away with it is needing to beat up on old Chapel Bill up there and to get their bounce back win per se. I would say the teams that are in the front right now, are objectively the teams that are in the front by a mile because they've done what they're supposed to do and beat the teams that are in front of them. But Miami is the only team that was predicted to be good that is also good right now.
Pretty clearly, it's Miami and then about a countrywide gap. And then I'd put Georgia Tech in there until proven otherwise. Georgia Tech deserves to be in the conversation. UVA has been one of the surprises so far in the ACC world, but I agree with Kenton. I think they have shown a couple flaws that I think are still in question moving forward. Then I put Florida State, and then everything else is just kind of a mosh pit at this point. Clemson, yes, they have fallen off of the cliff. They put a beat down on Chapel Bill, so thank you, Morgan, for your services there. But yeah, it's Miami and it's everyone else, and we're gonna have to see if anyone can catch them.
I don't think it was really that hard to beat North Carolina from a Clemson standpoint, even though Isaac's not here to defend himself this week.
I don't think he would.
Yeah, I don't think he really had much.
Yeah, he was actually sending me all these stats about how terrible the Tar Heels are, so he's digging his own grave.
Yeah, not a lot of fans to actually finish watching the game from the North Carolina standpoint, but I did stay up late to watch the Miami-Florida State game, and it's kind of weird because when you look at the box score, they had more. Florida State had more first downs, more yards, but the biggest thing is the turnovers. Tommy Castellanos is a good gamer quarterback, but just made too many mistakes that kind of deflated their momentum. But as Kenton admitted, the one thing you got to worry about Mario Cristobal over the years is just, can he actually finish not only just a game, but the seasons? He kind of had that. He was kind of in the same realm of Lane Kiffin of just losing those critical games. And even Lane Kiffin won now. So I feel as if maybe there's a turn now from these coaches that just getting over the hump, minus James Franklin. But,
yeah.
So, I think
that's a big one right there.
Yeah, I think that it was obviously the marquee game and it delivered. To me, it was exciting to watch, regardless of who you pulled for. I gotta say, nobody talks about him, but the guy from West Virginia, Mesidor,
what a player.
I want him on my team. Clemson's defensive line has been a little bit of a disappointment this year and getting pressure. And that, as Jackson mentioned, the lines of scrimmage for Miami is tough.
Yeah, I say it a lot on Locked On Canes about Akeem Mesidor, that if he had anyone other than Ruben Bain as a teammate, we would be talking about this guy every single day. He's putting up big time stats, and he and Bain are terrorizing quarterbacks together. And he actually, I think he's got more sacks at this point than Bain, because Bain gets more attention. But Ruben Bain actually individually had more quarterback pressures than Florida State's entire defense did, which was pretty wild on Saturday. But looking at the other results, guys, and you mentioned the other teams that are in contention in the ACC right now. Virginia beats Louisville on the road in overtime. Louisville had some self-inflicted wounds, but I'm not going to take anything away from UVA. 2 straight upsets in overtime. This one was on the road against a good Louisville team. Louisville's defense is playing well. Their offense has been a hot mess with the turnovers. They had a fumble that went the other way for a touchdown and another pick six from Miller Moss. He seems to do that a lot this year. But Virginia's 3-0 now in the ACC because their loss to NC State was technically non-conference. Pittsburgh guys got a big win after making the quarterback change from Eli Holstein to Mason Heinschel, who had a really good performance. Boston College is not very good, but Pitt wins 48-7. We'll talk more about Clemson's 38-10 win against UNC. Wake Forest over Virginia Tech, 30-23. NC State beats the mighty Camels, 56-10. SMU gets a big win. Sorry, Jackson, against Syracuse. It's been a tale of two teams since Steve Angeli got injured. Unfortunately,
doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Right? It only counts when your starting quarterback plays.
Correct.
And Duke 45-21 against Cal. And you know what's interesting, guys? The current ESPN percentages for who's going to win the ACC, behind Miami, they actually have Duke as the second team most likely to win the conference. They go head-to-head against Georgia Tech in a couple weeks, so that game is going to loom large. I imagine whoever wins that one is going to be potentially in the driver's seat along with Virginia to get to an ACC championship game, possibly against Miami.
Oh, absolutely. That game, who could have thought that the two of the nerd schools would have like a very big bearing, one of which is a nerd school that doesn't even like football. I'm looking at you, Duke. I'm looking at you. That, they're going to play large into the ACC championship picture. And not only that, the playoff picture for the ACC. Let's be very honest about this, right? If you're pulling for the ACC, and this is not just an anti-Duke thing, because I know some people like to get on me about how much I talk about Duke doesn't deserve this because of their fans. But in all seriousness, their two out-of-conference losses, one of which being to a group of 16, it deeply hurts the ACC's chance of getting them in as an at-large, as opposed to a Georgia Tech team who could potentially run the table, or their only loss would be to the Georgia Bulldogs. And you would say, I'm all right with that. You lose to Georgia, lose to Miami in the conference championship. People could see that as we're all right with letting you in. We're okay with letting you in. Now, a team that lost to Tulane, that's a different story. That's a much harder sell on hey, we belong here. Really? Do you really?
To Kenton's point,
26 to Illinois too.
To Kenton's point, I think Georgia Tech has the easier schedule between them and Duke moving forward. So I'm a little surprised to hear that Duke is the second best odds there. But yeah, I mean, Duke's got to go on the road. They got to play at Clemson. So maybe Morgan has something to say about that. They got to play Georgia Tech head to head. They got to play UVA still. I don't know about Duke. I think the talent to do it, but Georgia Tech certainly has an easier path.
I don't really know what it's like being down here at the bottom.
Oh, here we go.
It's new ground for you, Morgan.
Oh, I want
brother.
Welcome.
I want Mesidor on my team. The two top 10 draft picks on the D-line now. And if I need a third one.
If Mesidor isn't careful, he's going to get drafted by the Jets. And we don't wish that upon anyone.
Yikes.
He's going to start playing bad on purpose to avoid that.
That's what Ruben Bain should definitely do. Because I think he might go first overall. Oh.
Speaking of Clemson players who did great this week, I'm going to go with the Monday Night Football game with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dude, what a
Trevor
touchdown.
Lawrence. Did you see the double trip, almost fumble, fall over, touchdown to win the game against Patrick Mahomes? I mean, just makes me miss Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne so much more.
Why are you not talking about Cade Klubnik? He's your current quarterback. He was a Heisman favorite coming into the season. Talk about Cade. He's
can't find him on the Heisman boards anymore.
He didn't like the pressure. He's doing a lot better now with no pressure.
There you go.
I'm going to tell you something. We haven't seen a guy make a killing like that in Chapel Hill since me and my boys took over the library. If you know, you know. Go ahead, Donald.
I'm just going to keep running with this Jets bit here. I mean, he was really smart, Cade Klubnik. He realized that if he plays well this season, he might be the first overall pick, and the New York Jets are lurking. And they might get that first overall pick. But if not, they might get the second or third pick. So, he's kind of smart. Dropping around 2, dropping around 3, maybe just not get drafted at all. I think he's smart. He knows exactly what he is doing. Play like crap so you don't get drafted by the Jets, and you might have yourself a nice career.
It's one of those things like going into the season, I think when we talked about players One of the last ACC squads we did before the season, we were talking about, top quarterbacks that we thought could perform this year. And I know Carson Beck was one of the higher ones, but definitely Cade Klubnik was up there. And it's kind of sad how far he has dropped. Looking back, who would you say is now the top 2 or 3 ACC quarterbacks, 25-30% through of the season? I don't think Cade's on there for sure. Miller Moss definitely not on there. Chandler Morris maybe, but he didn't have that great of a game.
I say Chandler Morris, Haynes King, Carson Beck are at the top for me. And
what happened to Darian Mensah?
Darian Mensah, I was about to say, he's getting there.
Hold on, wait a minute.
We got one of CJ Bailey.
You damn right. We got one of the leading passers in the nation. What? The defense may not be able to stop a runny nose with Robitussin tissue and 3 COVID boosters, but that CJ kid can sling that pill.
Tell him his Miami audition is going well this year. He's playing.
Hey, worry about yourself,
Donald.
Worry about yourself. We are keeping CJ in Raleigh. Hey, CJ, if you
Tampering.
hear the sound of my voice, they didn't
Tampering.
want you. They didn't
NCAA.
want you, CJ. Don't forget. They didn't want you. They wanted Jeremiah. They didn't want you, CJ. Don't forget it. That was the whole
honestly,
school.
I kid. In all seriousness, I don't think CJ Bailey is going to leave North Carolina State. Like that. That's me being real. Like I'm trolling 3 seconds ago. I'm not trolling now, but I do want to troll the Tar Heels a little bit when we come back. Coming up next here on the ACC Squad, a report from WRAL News. Multiple sources with knowledge of inner workings of Bill Belichick's program say that UNC football's losses are a product of a divided locker room, a disorganized coaching staff, and a failure to communicate. We'll break it down right here on the Locked On ACC Squad. Folks, this episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts for a project, SupplyHouse has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. We're also proudly brought to you by FanDuel. College football, NFL in full swing. FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, I've bet futures, I've tried player props. You can even follow the lines live lines during the games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you so much for making the Locked On ACC Squad your first listen. For your next listen, check out our other shows. I host Locked On Canes, Jackson Holzer, Locked On Syracuse, Kenton Gibbs and Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack, Morgan Thomas, Locked On Clemson. Clemson scored a 38-10 win in Chapel Hill that saw Kenan Stadium emptying out before halftime. I guess the highlight of their day was that ludicrous concert at 10 a.m. there in Chapel Hill. So Chapel Bill falls to 2-3 on the year. They've been blown out by the 3 Power 4 opponents that they've faced so far. And Kenton, I'll let you buy the first round on this one because you actually worked for this news outlet before, WRAL in North Carolina. They write a scathing report about a divided locker room, a disorganized coaching staff, and a failure to communicate. I feel bad for the players on that team because they signed up, especially the ones who, I especially feel bad for the ones who inherited Bill Belichick, but even the guys he signed, they probably figured, man, I'm going to play for the GOAT of NFL coaching. This is going to be great. It's been anything but.
Yeah. By the way, if you can hear the sound of my voice, cast technician star CJ Sadler, if you come your tail to North Carolina, you're going to be very, very disappointed. All right. Don't do it. Do not do it. I am warning you as a fellow technician in the state of North Carolina. Now, oh, what a great time it is, Dono. Who could have predicted this? Who could have predicted that Bill Belichick, who, again, could not draft his way out of a can of paint when he last was in the NFL, was going to be bad at picking up talent in college? Who could have guessed that? Who could have guessed that a coach that had never coached in college at all was going to be bad in college? And even beyond that, the biggest thing that I think we really need to get into, Bill Belichick surely kind of like, I do it my way. It's my way or the highway personality. Yeah, sure. That's going to work out with Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids. That's going to work out great with them. Oh, yes. This is the perfect generation of children to kind of coach with that logic. And now, lo and behold, WRL is dropping this scathing review about parents and players and members of the staff talking about favoritism and all that. I have never seen a coaching staff have as much drama off the field, completely unrelated to what's happening on the field. I've never seen this out of a first-year staff ever. And if I do remember correctly, the Petrino incident that happened with the young girl in the motorcycle was year one at Arkansas, if I do remember correctly. And I've never seen this much off the field stuff. I remember at ACC Media Days when I asked him, how do you keep your players focused and keep the main thing with all these distractions? And he, in his very Bill Belichick way, did not answer the question. Well, looks like that really was the answer. Looks like he really doesn't keep the main thing in Chapel Hill, because this is embarrassing. When the highlight of a bunch of college students' day is hearing Ludacris. Ludacris ain't had a hit since Dono was in school, for crying out loud. And we're sitting here and saying that's the highlight of their day. In the middle of the game, ESPN is cutting the students saying, what happened against TCU was the most pain I felt at this university, and I failed midterms. That's an actual thing that happened. This is an embarrassment for that university. And as much as I don't like them because I'm an NC State guy, as an ACC guy, you have to get rid of Bill Belichick. Just pay the money, tell him to leave, and start over.
It just doesn't make any sense in the way that this is happening. Like, I could have imagined a world where North Carolina would struggle this year with Bill Belichick. He's making an adjustment. This is brand new. College ball is different than the NFL. And I sort of expected that could happen with North Carolina. It's all the off-field nonsense that Kenton hit on, though, because that is very unlike a Bill Belichick team. Think about when Bill Belichick was in the NFL. His teams were, whether they were good, whether they were bad, they were buttoned up. And they were basically robots. You didn't get anything out of them. Nothing came out of the building. You had no idea what they were going to do, whether they were good, whether they were bad. Now it's just a free-for-all. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, what happened to Bill Belichick? Like, what happened to his personality where he was able to keep everything in-house, not let anything really leak out there, not let anything really leak to the media? It just doesn't make sense. That's the confusing part to me. Them being bad, I mean, yeah, I could have envisioned them being bad. It's just all the off-field nonsense with them that drives me nuts. I don't get it.
I think I'm getting to the point that I'm shocked that people are shocked. I mean, what did you think was going to happen here?
Not this.
I mean,
not this.
Well,
I thought they would be bad. Like, I thought they had a chance to be really bad, but like off-field drama with a Bill Belichick team, that just doesn't happen normally.
Yes, but that's been happening like every month since he was hired. Like, the writing has been on the wall all this time that this was going to be a nightmare. Not to mention you bring, 70 players through the portal, and all of a sudden things are just going to be fixed. You throw a bunch of money at it, and then all of a sudden we're a CFP contender. This was never going to work out. And my favorite dosage of copium that I've seen over in Dirty Footland, just give him more time. It's only year one. By year 3, he'll have this figured out. He's 73 years old. How much time are you willing to give this guy? They are the laughing stock of not just the ACC, but college football in totality. I love it. Kenton loves it. We're NC State guys, so of course we do. This is gone completely off the rails. It's been off the rails for quite some time. At this point, I'm just to see how much further it will continue to go off the rails.
You know what, Gracie? You make an excellent point there. They do need to give him more time. I think we need 4 more years of Bill Belichick.
Come to think of it, that's fine by me.
Lifetime extension.
Yeah. I think that he's the GOAT, and we need to give him time. And I think that, in no time, you got to remember with the Browns, it didn't work out with the Jets and all that. It was tough.
Don't remind me of the Jets. That is not cool. That's
he figured it out
eventually. The Jets, not you.
Yeah, well y'all took our defensive coordinator. I don't want to hear it. Listen.
Oh yeah, he's doing great with the New York Jets right now. What's their defense ranked? They might be the 33rd ranked defense.
He figured it out. They
don't have a takeaway through 5 games.
Well, listen. Bill Belichick is gonna get it figured out eventually, and I think in Chapel Hill, these things take time, And I will say this on the serious note, Jackson. You saying I'm surprised that this happens. That is why I specifically asked that question at ACC Media Days, because it's a very different group of people. Working with 25, 26, 30-year-olds with wives and kids and mortgages is different than worrying about an 18-year-old that's saying, where's the function? Where's the next house party at? That's a different crowd that is going through and experiencing different things. So it's easier to tell a 35-year-old, I swear to God, if I catch you coming out of a nightclub in Boston, you're gone. This is it. This is your last shot. And telling an 18-year-old who knows, you cut me, I'll just transfer. Even worst case scenario, I end up at App State. Worst case scenario, I end up at Gardner-Webb. I'll be okay.
But let me say something to Jackson's point, though, because Bill has also changed. Like, he's had a book tour right after he got the job. And, of course, Jordan Hudson's making everybody mad at CBS with the demands for the book tour. They were going to do this Hulu documentary. So you're telling me Bill Belichick, who when he was in the NFL hated the idea of doing Hard Knocks, they were going to do a Hulu documentary that then UNC canceled when they lost their 3rd game.
Dono, Bill Belichick wouldn't let Madden football use his name, image, and likeness in a video game.
That's right. Yeah, now he wants to sell books and do documentaries. He's changed.
Well, in the words of one Canadian that everybody seems to be upset at right now, was that a world tour or your girls' tour? Okay?
Yeah.
That needs to be asked to Bill Belichick because, like you said, this has never been him. This has never, ever, ever been him. And you look at all the other things in his life, and there's one thing that changed in a major way. Because, I mean, again, I hate to talk about the off-the-field stuff, but at some point in time when you do get into the off-the-field stuff and all the chaos that's floating around that locker room, it starts from the top down, and the head man does not have his life in order in a meaningful way, and it's spilling over into the team.
And last thing for me, Hulu has that footage, by the way. Like, they have 5 games worth of footage.
I think they should sell it to Kenton Gibbs and Grace.
You
guys can release it on Locked On Wolfpack.
Hey, Hulu,
right here, baby.
Hulu, I got 5 bands for you. I got 5 bands. If y'all can hear the sound of my voice, I have $5,000 if y'all will release all of the raw footage to me.
Roll the tape.
Let me ask Morgan from Locked On Clemson. Obviously, you can weigh in on the off-the-field stuff as well, but also, like, that was a bounce-back win for Clemson. But do you feel like, what did you take about Clemson's performance? What did you take away, or was it more about North Carolina? Because I don't even know what to do with what Clemson did to them on the field, because North Carolina's bad.
Yeah, North Carolina is bad. I mean, they're so bad that the fans were standing up, rolling out, going to another area code. They were yelling, "Move, Bill, get out the way." I can keep going, but no, the Tar Heels are very bad. They don't want to play defense. They don't want to tackle. They don't even want to push you out of bounds. So to say that Clemson came out and dropped 488 yards or something like that is you're excited because, I mean, I can't complain because, I mean, for, 4 weeks I've been complaining about being a terrible team, and being 1-3. So I have to be happy with the first ACC win. But then again, it's like Clemson also did really good in the first quarter. And then the second, the third, the fourth quarter actually kind of shut it down. They had Cade Klubnik until about halfway through the third, and then they brought in all the backups about halfway through, and it really just shut down. Actually, the second half, if you look statistically, North Carolina outgained Clemson and scored more points. Clemson only had three points in the second half. They really kind of put the brakes on, almost as if like Dabo and Bill are part of the same HOA or something in Florida, and he just didn't want to step on the neck. I was really kind of disappointed because this would be a game where you needed to kind of like rack up a ton of points. So I'm a little bit happy, but also a little bit frustrated. And there is still that concern that this was the first time the team was able to play their backups more consistently. And not only did they go pretty vanilla, but they didn't really look that great either. So as a Clemson fan, you're not only thinking about 2025, but you're thinking about 2026 and kind of worried, like Dabo's high school only mentality is not what it used to be.
Dabo's playing the long game. He's saying if I don't fully stump a mud hole in them, they'll keep him around longer. Because if he would have put up 70, then the administration would have been more likely to be like, we might have to move off of this. But if I put up 50, if I put up high 40s, they might keep him around. Again, he's on the 4 more year bandwagon with me. He knows these things take time. He knows, because Dabo wasn't an instant success as a head coach, of course. It took him 5-6 years before he won double-digit games, of course. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Carolina.
I think it was like 3, but yes, you're right. So, but and like you mentioned, Clemson, Dabo has really stomped some teams and caused them to lose their coach in the past. So, it's not like Dabo
happened to one of my former coaches, Al Golden.
Yeah, Al Golden, Mr. Ty. Yeah,
Thank
Mr.
you for
Ty.
that. Well, when we come back, let's take a look at the Week 7 football slate, which isn't great, but there's one game that clearly stands above the rest in the ACC, and a couple of games that are going to give us a clearer picture, I think, of a possible ACC championship. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of the Locked On ACC Squad. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Nappa leather upholstery. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. We're also proudly brought to you by Quo. One of the tools that helps make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard us talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. Guys, whether you're a solo operator, juggling everything, or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. Their built-in AI agent is a game changer. It can answer after-hours calls, capture leads, and keep business moving even when you're off the clock. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you for making the Locked On ACC Squad your first listen. All right, so if I'm looking at the ACC slate this weekend, Miami has another bye week, by the way, weird bye week schedule. Pittsburgh at Florida State at noon on Saturday, to me, is pretty clearly the conference matchup of the weekend. So we're going to find out, like, FSU, they've lost 2 straight games. Are they going to spiral? I think they can definitely bounce back this weekend. And Pitt, guys, made that quarterback change, benching Eli Holstein for true freshman Mason Henschel, who played really well, but against Boston College. Pitt does have a really good defense, though. So, Grayson, I'll let you buy the first round on this one. Do you think this is a bounce back for Florida State, or does Pittsburgh make it 3 L's in a row for FSU?
I think it's got to be a bounce back for Florida State, especially now back losses, losing to Virginia and now Miami. They need to figure out where they want to go the rest of the year as well. So I'm going to take Florida State in this one. I don't know if I touch the spread. That seems a little bit large considering Pitt's offense is not all that bad, but I think the Seminoles get it done.
Yeah, I think that Florida State, ACC in general needs a team like Florida State to keep staying, successful. They're still ranked as far as I know, like just barely, but they need to recapture what they had at the very beginning against Alabama. That wasn't a bad win by any means, but Alabama has seemed to kind of figure it out a little bit more now. So I'm looking forward to the game. It's an early one, 12 o'clock, so you get to get it early and get it over with. But Clemson now has to wait till 7:30. But I would take Florida State. And but anything this week with the points, I got to take with the points, man.
I was going to say I don't really get the line. Like it's it's Florida State by 10.5.
That's right.
Like they're really not giving any respect to Pitt. They don't think Pitt's good at all. I guess like last week, it's just hard to get a read on the Pitt Panthers right now because they're going to start a quarterback making his second career start. They're coming off an impressive win, but that was against Boston College. And then you look at Florida State and you say, okay, well, they sucked against Miami up until the fourth quarter. So we don't know what Florida State we're going to get either in this game. I don't really know what's going to happen. So,
and we don't know for sure if Desmond Reed is going to play either for Pitt. So, I mean, if he does play, I would probably take them to cover that spread, but maybe they're thinking he doesn't is why it's 10.5.
I guess, but I mean, when I don't have a good read on a game, I tend to just lean towards the side of the home team, but I would at least take Pitt to cover.
I'm going to quote my good friend Lee Sterling on this one. Wrong team favored. We are going to see an upset. The Sharks and company are going to get this one done. Alabama is Alabama. They continue to lose to average or below average teams. That is who they have been under Kalen DeBoer. We have not seen a single Alabama team that has not lost to a team where we look at them and say, what the hell is that polar bear doing in Dallas? It's just another example of that. And I promise you, this Florida State team, while I don't think that they're terrible, I don't think that they're 10.5 points better than Pitt. And here's the worst part about it. I don't think that they have the confidence to get off this snide, because the confidence to get off this type of snide is normally built by teams who have been together. They've worked together. They built that cohesion. I don't think this team has that. I think that the Sharks go hunting in Florida. They walk away with a win here.
So other games involving ACC teams this weekend, we'll circle back to a couple of these. Also at noon, SMU hosting Stanford. Mustangs are favored by 19.5 points. It should not be particularly difficult. Shouldn't be anyway. 13th ranked Georgia Tech hosts Virginia Tech. Georgia Tech favored by 14.5. NC State plays a non-con game at 16th ranked Notre Dame, where the Irish are favored by 21.5. We'll circle back to that one in a moment because we got the NC State contingent with us. Wake Forest plays at Oregon State. Wake is favored by 2.5 at 0-6. Oregon State, obviously not a conference game. Morgan, let's get your take on this one. Clemson at Boston College. Clemson favored by 14.5. I think Clemson's going to roll again. Maybe Boston College, not quite as bad as North Carolina, but they might be. So this should be another easy Clemson win.
I was a little bit more worried about them until after this last week, and seemed like they just couldn't get anything going. They are dealing with a lot of injuries. Dabo Swinney's not on anybody's good side because he came out and said, well, Boston College is just a few plays away from being undefeated, or 4-1, and I'm like,
I respect that. I like when my coaches talk like that. I respect.
But he's also said it about Clemson too, and nobody believes him anymore. It's kind of like we're jaded at this point. So, anybody. I mean, if none of the games were played, Clemson would be 0-0. So, but the thing is like, Clemson has to still show me that they can put together a full, complete game. 14.5. You would want to take that because they did prove to me that they could beat that against the Tar Heels. They had 14.5 there. But I mean, I can understand if you're a Clemson fan and you're jaded and you're doubting 14.5 because you just never know. I mean, Cade looked better at times, but didn't look better. And then the team had a great first quarter, but not really that good of 3 quarters. So, you really don't know how much consistency you're going to get. Obviously, anytime you go up there, up north at night, it's going to be colder. Who knows what could happen? You'd be stiff or something. Maybe the knees start crackling. I don't know. But I do believe that Clemson should be able to win this game and come back. Dabo mentioned that they'll probably win the game, or they'll play the game, not win the game, but they'll play the game and then immediately get back on the plane and come back. So he'll have to work on recovery mode to get back to the next game up, which I believe is SMU.
The one thing about Boston College, though, is that I know you're probably sick of hearing Dabo say that, but is he really all that wrong? If you think about it, because they nearly beat Michigan State, they nearly beat Cal. They lost those ones late, and they lost to Stanford. So maybe they're a play or two away from being 3-2.
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to do there, Jackson. But
I'm just saying, it's not like Boston College in every game this year has lost 48-7. They're bad, but they haven't lost 48-7 in every game. They lost in overtime to Michigan State. They lost a close one to Cal. I don't know how they lost to Stanford. That's because they're a bad team. But I guess you're just sick and tired of hearing Dabo say something like that. I don't think they would ever
stop that they have a bad team and that you could.
They're bad, but I don't think they're bad, but they're not as bad as maybe what they were last week. Last week was by far and away their worst game of the season. The other prior weeks, they were at least competitive, and they just lost.
Before Narduzzi was kind enough to get players in the game who need some film before they transfer, that game was 45-0.
Yeah.
What 1 or 2 plays what 45-point play do you know
I'm not
about?
talking about that. You're mentioning the one game they had no chance of winning. But the other ones, I mean, they lost in, I think, double overtime to Michigan State. They lost to Cal at the end. Cal had a late touchdown with 1:30 to go from 51 yards out. I'm looking at it right now. So they were a couple plays away there from winning that one. I don't know how you lose to Stanford by 10. Well, that's the part where I say they're just a bad team.
And the crazy part? You mentioned 3 teams that didn't even play in bowls last year. I don't think any of those 3 teams.
I know.
They're all
bad.
And Michigan State is not good, by the way.
I know. I'm just saying they're all bad. That's what I'm trying to point out here. But they could have beaten the other bad teams, but they're just a little bit more bad.
Everyone, it's Jackson Sweeney.
Yeah, you sound like Dabo.
He's clearly on the Sweeney payroll. I'm gonna tell you this. Last week I said, like the Levert family at Brugger's Bagels, not enough spread. Well, we're going to go with the Jelly Roll concert that's mixed in with a Thanksgiving dinner. Still not enough spread. Clemson is going to blow this team out of the water. This will be the worst thing that Boston sees since that damn Tea Party all those centuries ago. You understand? This team is going to get demolished. This is not going to be close. This is not going to be good. We will not walk away from this saying, Boston College is on the upswing. We won't.
All right, so before we run here, we got the NC State contingent getting 21.5 points at Notre Dame. That's a big number, fellas. Do you think NC State can make this one interesting and possibly even pull the upset?
If by interesting you mean cover the spread, then maybe in the fourth quarter. But the other 3 quarters, I don't know. The defense for NC State has been a massive problem so far this season. Haven't been able to stop anyone on the ground. And that's not what you want to be saying when you're about to face Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. So I said this to Kenton the other day. By the time this airs on Thursday, the rest of NC State fans will hear me say that as well. I'm worried that NC State's about to jumpstart the Heisman campaign for Jeremiah Love with what he's about to do to us on the ground. I think it could get ugly, but I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I don't really want to talk about whether or not NC State could cover the spread, okay? I want to help out my betting degenerates right now. I want to quote every man who owns a sweater vest while on the highway. Can I get the over, Rover? Let me tell you something. The over-under for this game is 59.5. Now, Notre Dame's secondary has been one of the most disappointing groups in all of the country. C.J. Bailey has been phenomenal throwing the ball this year. Hollywood Smothers has been phenomenal against everybody this year. And I'm telling you right now, NC State will most likely get blown out. There is a world where they make this game interesting. There is a world where they cover the spread. That's not like I wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game by 10 or even I'm going to say something that may be crazy to some people. I wouldn't even be surprised if NC State pulls off the upset here, because nothing would be more Dave Dorn than losing to Virginia Tech and then going and beating Notre Dame on the road. Nothing would be more quintessentially Dave Dorn than that.
Well, you know what? If you're going to have an upset win, use it up this week, because you guys have Miami later in the year. So go ahead and beat Notre Dame. Take it easy.
Miami's due for a stinker every once in a while. I mean, that's like the annual.
But I'm going to say this.
NC State, or is it going to be Syracuse with Ricky Collins? You pick.
I'm going to say this. The way that our run defense looks, Notre Dame might hit that under over a 59.5 by themselves. Let alone NC State getting involved in the scoring action against the secondary that's been a little leaky, a little creaky all day. So my degenerates who do a little bit of betting, a little bit of wagering, I'm helping you out. Take the over.
I would put your first $5 bet on Notre Dame money line and just get $300 right there.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's the FanDuel way. Well, we appreciate everybody for making the Locked On ACC squad your first listen. Make sure you check out Locked On Canes, Locked On Syracuse, Locked On Wolfpack, Locked On Clemson, all the awesome ACC shows that we have. And we'll talk to you again next time on another episode of The Squad. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.